Bonjour mes amis, et bienvenue au Pendu dans la Lune. Hello friends, if this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, if you are a returning visitor, you probably guessed from my intro that this is my series in which I use Tarot de Marseille adjacent or antique Italian decks to explore ideas and answer questions that I draw from my larger Rider-Waite-Smith-based spread of the week. And that's what I've already done. I've already done a large spread for the week and recorded that video. And the video I recorded this week was entitled Trying Too Hard. And it explores the idea of willpower in relation to living an intentional life. And if you haven't seen that video, I recommend going to see that first and then coming here. So I'll put a card up here for you to click on, jump over, watch that video, and then come back, because it'll give you a sense of where we're coming from and why I chose the question for this week. Now, that video explores the idea of willpower in relation to living an intentional life. Did I already say that? Maybe I did. But let's keep moving on. The question that I pulled from that large spread came from, where did it come from? It came from the Earth section of that spread. Now, that larger spread that I'm using is based on the Ace of Discs from the Tarot of the Holy Light by Christine Payne-Towler. Beautiful deck, highly recommended. And in that card, there is the central image of the disc, and above there are clouds, and below there's the earth. So that's basically the layout of the spread. And in the earth section of the spread, two cards showed up. Flanking the central card of the Hanged Man, but in the deck that I was using, it's called Perspective. Sometimes they change the names, right? The Hanged Man was flanked by both the Ten of Cups and the Nine of Swords. Not very compatible cards, right? Yeah, one is blissful, joyful love. One is anxiety, worry, and nightmares even in the Rider-Waite-Smith system. So I pulled this question to try to understand that part a little bit more clearly. The question I pulled is as follows. I read, what new perspective can we gain in the intersection of bountiful love and anxiety? Sorry, one of those prepositions was wrong. I'll read it again. What new perspective can we gain at the intersection of bountiful love and anxiety? Now, bountiful love, Ten of Cups, anxiety, Nine of Swords in the Rider-Waite-Smith system. Now we're reading this with Tarot de Marseille. Well, let me show you. So what I will do right now is I will show you the question all written out nice and pretty with correct grammar. And then I will show you the cards that appeared in response to that question. And then we'll take a look and talk about those cards. Here we go. Friends, if you are a returning visitor, you may have already been wondering to yourself, where the heck is he recording this video? Now, this isn't my normal setup, right? Well, I'm working at a completely different campus for 2 weeks, so I don't really have easy access to my office. And so, instead, I'm recording in an empty classroom, and I don't have my regular decks available to me, so I have pulled one of the other decks that I really, really love. Yeah, my Artisan Tarot decks are all in my office. But this is one of my travel decks that you just saw. And it is a Dodal deck. And I bought it from Fournier with the beautiful leather case, a travel deck. And so I'll have a link in the description box below if you're interested in going and checking out this deck and maybe purchasing it and maybe the wonderful leather case that goes with it. It makes a wonderful travel deck, I believe. So that information will be below. I don't get any money if you use that link. It's just there for your convenience. But this is a beautiful deck. It's a large deck. So you kind of need largish hands like me to shuffle it easily, unless you're a handy overhand shuffler. Cardstock is thick, it's sturdy, it's flexible, and it is a little bit sharp on the edges, so a lot of shuffling tends to make my fingertips very sensitive. But still, I love this deck, and I love the redrawing of this deck, the cleaning up that was done by Flornoy. It's beautiful. So anyways, you just saw the question and you saw the cards I pulled, and you saw from left to right. There was the Queen of Wands, the Page of Swords, the Moon, and the Four of Wands. Now, really, when I first laid out the cards, the 3 cards, I do a 3-card spread. You know that, right? I do a 3-card spread, and it came up Page of Swords, the Moon, and the Four of Wands. So those are the 3 main cards answering or responding to the question. But because the page was looking off to my left, to their right, looking away from the rest of the cards, I decided to pull the next card to see what the page is giving his, her, or their attention to. So that's why we've got the cards in this line. And because of that way that I laid the cards, and because the page is looking from right to left, I'm going to read those first 3 cards, starting from right to left. And then we'll look at what the page wants to pay attention to, because I think that's the way we actually come to a good answer to the question of what perspective we can gain. Yeah, what are we looking at? What will we realize? Now, what the page is looking at is what we're going to realize. Does that make sense? So we're going to start with, let's see, the Four of Wands, which is a beautiful card, always a beautiful card, but not all that interesting as a court card or a major card might be, but still a beautifully designed card. This again is the Dodal deck. Lovely, is it not? We got the Four Wands all nicely crossed. We got some floral decorations, some above, below, leaves on the sides. Yeah, nicely drawn card, beautiful card. So what does the Four of Wands mean to me? And what does it mean in response to the question? Well, the Four of Wands is routine for me. It's steadiness. Yeah, 4 is stability. The Wands are passion and activity. So stable activity, routine. Yeah, steadiness. Perseverance. Keeping the thing going. We started in the 3, that burst of fresh creativity and inspiration in the 3, we're now getting stability with it, yeah? Steadiness, perseverance, developing habits. All those are wonderful things, right? And I see that as being the, in relationship to that 10 of Cups card from the Rider-Waite-Smith system, yeah? We got that joyful aspect, the love, that if it is consistent, if it's not just this brief spurt of love that disappears very quickly. The 10 of Cups I see as being something very stable, very foundational, like the 10 of Coins or Pentacles is in the Rider-Waite-Smith system, where we've got that idea of legacy and wealth and things pretty established, financially, physically, with resources. The 10 of Cups is a very stable, well-established, loving relationship, familial relationship. So there's that idea of that routine, steadiness, perseverance with that love, with the joy, with the interaction, developing habits, a habit of love, right? We want to develop habits of love, and that's how we get to the 10 of Cups. And sometimes I think we expect it to just be this natural thing that just suddenly appears out of nowhere. And no, it's a really stable, loving relationship is one that requires our attention and our maintenance and perseverance to develop, to create, just like a financial legacy takes time and perseverance and routines and steadiness to create, right? So here we have that Four of Wands, the steadiness and the routine of love. But I don't know if you've ever been in a long-term loving relationship, but it can sometimes not necessarily become stale, but become so routine that there's a bit of stagnancy. There's a bit of, it becomes so steady that it loses some of its interest, it loses some of its growth, some of its potential development. Now we get it on this plateau of even loving relationships, and we stop seeing the road, the climbing road, the road for development, the road for increase, the road for growth and evolution. Even love, as we consider it very well established, a long-term loving relationship can still grow and develop. But we can lose sight of that in the maintenance of everyday expressions and experiences of love. Does that make sense to you? Have you ever experienced that for yourself or noticed that in another loving relationship, a familial or romantic relationship? Or even with friends, right? I love my friends. They're wonderful people. I love spending time with them. They love spending time with me. And we always do the same effing thing every time. And we get this routine of we meet every Friday. We do this. Have you ever had a relationship like that or known people in relationships like that where it's not really stale. I mean, they love each other and they're in there together, but the evolution starts to peter out. Right? That makes sense, doesn't it? That's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm not saying, oh, that's horrible. Oh, it's becoming, what? It's going to start disintegrating. And it might disintegrate, but that's not what I'm saying. We've just reached this plateau that's just so steady that we've lost sight of potential progress and evolution. And so right next to that, we've got the moon. Lovely card, the moon. Now we've got the crustacean below. We've got the two dogs baying at the moon, from which is falling this light or this energy or this power, right? The two towers on either side. And usually, you know my moniker here is the Hanged Man in the Moon. So I love the moon card. For me, the moon generally is not a negative card, but rather a very positive one. It's a one of intuition and dreams and perhaps a little bit of theatricality. It's also a card of intuition and divination for me. It can also be unconscious, but not so much the scary monster unconscious, but the fullness of the unconscious. And in that unconsciousness, that I have and you have and we all have, inside of that unconscious, there are some frightening things, but it's not all scary monsters. There be jewels there. There's treasure there. And diving into the unconscious to explore that is a wonderful way to evolve, to move towards self-actualization, to integrate. So that's all part of the moon card for me. However, I do acknowledge there are other ways of reading it, and this time I think the moon card is in the direction of those other ways of reading it. Because I think the moon card here is the echo for that Nine of Swords in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, in Pamela Coleman-Smith's style of art and the Golden Dawn's ideas of nines of swords. So, yeah, the moon does have ideas of secrets and illusions. Yeah, the unconscious and that scary kind of unconscious. Monsters coming up from the deep. Superstitions, nightmares, night terrors can be part of this card as well. Yeah, there's hidden treasure there as well. But in this reading, in this sense, I think this card and this card are reminding us of the benefits and pitfalls of both the Ten of Cups and the Nine of Swords. Now, there are some benefits to the Nine of Swords here too, right? Yeah, we do have intuition springing up from this unconscious level. We do have imagination, and divination is still part of that. Yeah, when talking about the Nine of Swords from the deck that I was using, the Tarot of Oneness by what is her name? Her name is Robin Voisey. Yeah, by Robin Voisey. What we see in that card is a bed. We're invited to imagine ourselves lying in the bed. We see the foot of the bed. And at the end of the bed, there are these ghostly figures. And that reminded me, of course, of nightmares, but also of like the ghosts of ancestors or family who have gone to the other side, who have passed on and visit us at night. And sometimes those visitations are also frightening and scary, but they're also communication. They're revelations. They're ways of spirit to communicate with us. So there's that frightening aspect, but there's also the potential for benefit from that, right? So these two cards are speaking to each other, are reminding us of where we are starting. The intersection of bountiful love, but which can become routine as it is bountiful, and anxiety, which can be frightening and a moon card-like experience. And all of this is behind or to the side of the Page of Swords. Page of Swords. Swords. Perspective, right? So the Page of Swords has this in the back of their minds. This is what they're moving from, and they're moving to the next card. That's the way I see this spread as presenting itself. So, yes, the Page of Swords. Beautiful card. Beautiful Page of Swords. Looking in this direction. So, so this way, right? The page is looking in this direction. Yeah? These are behind the page. And so this page is wonderful. The page is holding up this sword, yeah, protecting themselves from perhaps this, maybe trying to cut themselves off from this, and putting their attention, their new perspective, on this side. So who is the page? This beautifully drawn page. This is a card of curiosity, of restlessness, and mental energy, right? Can you see how the routine, disturbed by the moon card and those maybe a nightmare, frights, anxieties, could cause some restlessness, could stir up our mental energy? If we lived only in the love and joy of the Ten of Cups, we might start going a little bit brain dead. We could. I mean, it's not 100% guaranteed, but that is a potential. But with the stimulus of the Nine of Swords, with the stimulus of the moon card in this spread, we get the page who's been disturbed, and their curiosity has been sparked now. They're become a little bit restless. Yeah? They start seeking. They might lack in confidence right now because they've just gotten shaken up. When you get shaken up, how's your confidence, right? Total page of whatever suit scenario, whether it's a shake-up in our emotional lives with the Page of Cups, or a shake-up with our work lives perhaps with a page of coin, of discs, who's not really sure what to do with the work that they are presented with, maybe. Yeah, the Page of Swords is shaken up with their seeking knowledge, with their seeking new things, with their studies. They've lost some of they don't have the confidence, but they are seeking. And maybe they haven't completed their education. That's okay. None of us have completed our education. If I think I have completed my education, I am getting ready for the grave, right? We came into these physical bodies as eternally living, alive, spiritual entities. We came into this physical universe, co-creating these beautiful physical bodies so that we can explore, so that we can learn, so that we can evolve, so that we can grow and in understanding and in concept and in curiosity. That's why I think that is why we are here in these bodies. And that is the beginner mind. That's the Page of Swords. And so, yeah, he hasn't completed, she hasn't completed, they haven't completed their education yet. And that's great because none of us have. But where is the page placing their attention? They're placing their attention on the Queen of Wands. So this is the final answer to this question of what new perspective can we gain at the intersection of that bountiful love, which has maybe become routine, and the anxiety, which is scary like the moon at sometimes. And we are the Page of Swords, now getting the new perspective of the Queen of Wands. Courage, determination. This queen is holding a very refined and very large wand in her hand, and she's got the creativity going. She does have joy. She has satisfaction of living creatively. That's the word. Living creativity. Creatively. Living creatively. Why is that so difficult for me? Okay, moving on. She's creative and she's really happy about it. She's also got her sexual pleasure going on too. Yeah, she's sexually active maybe, or at least takes joy in the sensuality of being who she is. He is, or they are. We are all queens of wands. You, me, they. We are all queens of wands. And their life is fully experienced, independent and fully experienced. Now she doesn't, in this female presenting Queen of Wands card, the face don't look so joyful or satisfied here. But that's how I see the Queen of Wands. Yeah? The Queen of Wands is the brave one with her fire, the fire of water. She's the brave one. She's satisfied with what she can do because she is so powerful. She's joyous in her creativity. That's it. She is joyous in her creativity. So there's that burst of independent energy which has allowed us to evolve beyond perhaps the Ten of Cups a little bit. So we regain our independence, not leaving behind the Ten of Cups. But that's the new perspective, that I can become the Queen of Wands. I can embody the Queen of Wands in my current loving situation. I can fire up the fire of water, right? The Ten of Cups is water. I can introduce my queenly fire to that situation. And that fire is sparked by the Nine of Swords in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. That anxiety, that shake-up sparks my ability to reclaim my Queen of Wandsness within the water of my wandsness within the water of my queen. Right? Queens, water, wands, fire. So that's what we want to, that's where we want to place our attention, or what we can realize when we are shaken up within the Ten of Cups environment. Does that make sense? I think this is really interesting, and it was a very unexpected reading. And you know what? Another unexpected thing, synchronicity, is that you see this Page of Swords? I've got a charm. Now, there are a set of pewter charms that were created called the Charm Tarot. So there are little rectangular charms. I can show you what it looks like vaguely, but it's too small to really give you a good view of what it is. But there are charms for each one of the tarot cards. And I draw a card, well, a charm for every day to wear. As a charm, as a sigil maybe, a tarot sigil. And my charm for the day was, guess who? The Page of Swords. So, for me especially, this is a very synchronous and I think meaningful and timely reading, right? So, anyways, friends, I'd love to hear what you think. Does this make sense? If it does, let me know in the comments below. If it does not make sense, if you would read this series of 4 cards differently in response to that question, let me know in the comments below. And friends, if you're still here, hit the thumbs up button so that YouTube knows that you got something out of it and other people might get something out of this video, and it will bring more eyes to the channel. It helps the channel. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and hit the alarm bell so you get notifications of when I upload videos. I am doing 3 a week now. Sometimes I might do 4. I'm also going to be entering a deep dive series in January. So of a particular deck. So if you want to get notifications of when those videos are uploaded and available, definitely hit the alarm bell. And again, comment below. I would really love to hear from you. And friends, now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.